for decades and have just massive experience. So it's an awesome group. So without further ado, I'm going to start going through the slides, and then we'll do just a little bit of a recap, or we'll go through some questions after I run through the slides. I might even stop periodically. So if you got some questions, grab a pad, write your questions down, and I'll stop periodically and just say, hey, anybody have some follow-up questions that we can that we need to hit before we kind of get into the next session, right? Is that good?
Sounds good.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I can use it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the FAR family. And I would say this, I love that it's the FAR family, because it is, when you come to a FAR event, you will understand why it's family. FAR does things differently. I've raced in a lot of series, from NASA to SCCA to Champ Car, WRL, especially Todd's got massive experience, but what FARA does is it makes you feel like a family, and it is a blast to be at a FARA event. They do things differently than any other series that I've ever run in. And they are, they're customer centric. And the goal is for enjoyment, and customer service. And they celebrate your wins, they celebrate your accomplishments. And they're really high on education. They do a fantastic job with education. So that's part of the FAR family, and it is absolutely a blast to go to a FAR event. So I'm going to talk about today's schedule. Again, trust the process. And I'll always, the most important thing during these 2 days is safety. Most of the cars that people will be in will be prepped HPDE cars. Some will have 4 and 5 point harnesses. Most will have 3-point harnesses. You'll be wearing a helmet. And so we're not during the process of this weekend when you're on track. The goal of this is to gain experience in the drills that we're doing, but to do it safely, right? So when we're on track, you don't need to be running 10 tenths. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say 10 tenths, let me quickly explain. Imagine 1, 2, all the way up to 10. 10 is there's not a speck more that you can get out of the car, right? And you're driving as hard as you think you can drive within your skill set. And so Todd's 10 tenths may be, or my 10 tenths might be Todd's 8 tenths because he's a better driver. He's got more experience, et cetera, et cetera. And so for you in your mind, as you're on track, I think that it's a good practice and a baseline to understand. I never want any of you guys to feel out of control. The way that you get fast in racing is you do it in very small increments. And so as a baseline, I would ask you and tell you and instruct you, I don't want to see you driving over your head, right? I don't want to see you driving at what feels like 10 tenths. I'd like for you to stay between 6 and 8 tenths the entire weekend. And there's going to be times when you're incrementally pushing it, and that's okay, but stay within, make sure we're doing it incrementally. Safety is on you. You're the driver. You're the one on track. Oops. Sorry. All right. Lead instructors, myself, Todd Burris, and Bill Agha. All 3 of us have a ton of experience. Additional instructors, Kalen Kenley, Angus Egg, Danny White, Jack Hobbs here, Peter Saddington is going to be on site, and so will Carlos Espitia. We'll do an introduction when we get to class. Hey, who are you? Where are you from? Why are you here? What do you hope to get out of this? Blah, blah, blah. That'll be good. Get to know everybody briefly. Again, tentative schedule, high level, guys, and this is subject to change because a big part of racing is having to adapt. And so we're going to throw a lot at you, and a lot of it will be surprises. Surprises. Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, surprises.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you. So
Very good.
you're gonna catch some things that are surprises. The important stuff is the first thing I think, if anytime I'm ever going to any kind of class, I want to know what do I need to expect the first time I get there, and when do I need to get there? You need to be there at 8, okay?
Before 8.
Before 8
I
on
would
Saturday morning.
I would pull in no later to the track than 7:30 a.m.
Yeah, because you got to unload and get your car out and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is not going to be a 300 person Jzilla event for those that have been. This is a much smaller event, but still you want to make sure you're there plenty of time to set up, get unloaded, make sure you didn't get a nail in the tire on the way up here. Then 8 a.m. things will kick off.
That's right. And 8 a.m., the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through your gear in your car. Okay. And so the instructors, all the ones that you just saw, are going to go through, we're going to walk around, check your car and check your gear to make sure that that the car is worthy to be on track. Right. Okay. The other stuff is all of this is subject to change, but this is a general outline of stuff that we'll go through and we'll talk through it. It's actually changing a little bit real time. Just because we're having to change some of the scheduling inside of the HPD groups, and there's a Formula FAR group that's running on Saturday as well. So subject to change. Boop, boop, boop. All right. I want to go over, if you're not familiar with racing, I'm going to hit just run through very briefly. You'll hear these again. Don't panic. But these are really important words and jargon that are driver centric. And if you go to a race, these are things you need to know. Paddock. What is the paddock? The paddock's basically the place where all your cars and trailers are parked, and you are staging and parking your car before, after sessions, and it's kind of your home base. Drivers meeting. You're going to hear that a lot. Anytime you come to a race weekend, drivers meeting is absolutely mandatory. You get all your information at the drivers meeting. So it's really important that you go to drivers meetings. It's also the place where you can ask questions. Helmet sticker. What is a helmet sticker? It's just some sticker, somebody, it's a sticker that somebody that a representative of FARA is going to give you that allows you the right to get on track. And it's a sign that not the corner workers, but the station workers, as they release you on track, they'll check your helmet to make sure that you've gone through tech, that you have the correct gear, that you have your car's been checked out, and you can get on track. And so that's going to be imperative. Your wristband, any wristband. Okay, no. When you go to registration, you will, and every time you go to the track, you got to go to registration to some degree. And that's where they'll check you in, give you a wristband, because oftentimes, every time when you go on track, you got to show them your wristband, and that certain color wristband is going to allow you in on the track at that particular time. Okay, pit. What is pit? What is pit lane? Pit lane, pit in, pit out. What does all that stuff mean? So very briefly, pit refers to the pit lane. Pit in is the lane or the space that you enter the pit from the racetrack. Pit out is the place where you exit the pit lane onto the track. Grid is where you stage before you go on track. False grid is the place. False grid is the place. Sorry, I apologize. False grid is the place where they line you up before you get gridded when you go on track. Grid is when you go onto track and they're splitting you, which brings me to another word, splitter, at the very end. What is a splitter? Who is a splitter? Well, that's the thing on the.
It's not the thing on the front of your car.
It's not the thing on the front of your car. The splitter is the person that puts you in the lane of where you qualified. So when you're pulling out on the track before a race, or even often really only before a race, they split you on what lane you're going to be associated with. We're going to get into details of all this, so don't panic or anything like that. This is all just high level stuff. And then let's see, where was I? False grid, blend line. Blend is typically a line that is drawn when you exit pit lane and you're entering the tracks. You're exiting pit lane onto the track. There's typically a line that they want you to stay in. Many tracks do not like to see you touch that blend line.
Don't do it.
Don't ever touch the blend line. Stay inside the blend line until it disappears. Then you have access to the track. So just some of these words that you're gonna hear, center off. You'll hear Todd talk about center off a lot. It's a great term that refers to the apex, beyond the apex, after the turn in. So apex, center off. Tech, you'll hear tech. Did you go to tech? Have you gotten your gear teched? That's important because typically at every race, to some degree, especially your first race, you're going to have to get your gear teched, which means checked out. You got to find out who and where tech is, and you got to get your gear and your car teched. Registration, I spoke about that. It's really one of the first places you go when you come to a track because you can't go anywhere else until you get registered and you get your wristband and your helmet sticker and things like that.
Pit lane max.
Pit lane max. So that refers to max speed on pit lane. And it varies from track to track. It's one of the things that you hear in the driver's meeting. Typically, it's around 30 or 35 miles per hour. You'll hear early in, late in. That refers to early in, meaning you're turning in too early, and late in, you're turning in too late into a corner. Track out, eyes up. Track out is simply refers to tracking all the way out to the exit, all the way using the entire racetrack. So you're carrying all your momentum. If you use the entire radius of the corner, you can carry more speed. Eyes up is just that. Don't get tunnel vision. Keep your eyes up. Look as far down track as you can. Lights out. What does that mean? That refers to pace car. When you're on your out lap, which is on here too, out lap, which is you go out, it's the formation lap. Oftentimes people are scrubbing tires. You get formed up, and then as you're approaching start finish line, the pace car turns its lights out, and enters onto pit lane, and it's almost time to go racing. Lights out also can be referred to when anytime pace car is on track. When they close their lights out, turn their lights off, it means that you've got green flag coming, so be prepared. Open your hands. Many of you guys that have done HPD probably have heard this. That just refers to opening your hands, and instead of pinching off the corner, once you've hit apex, it's good. You may hear Todd or me or a lot of these guys say, go ahead and open your hands up. Bedding brakes, scrubbing tires. So a lot of times there are some series that allow bedding of the brakes, which means going out, hitting the brakes, getting some heat in them, hitting them hard, getting some wear on a brakes. You might go out on a new set and they need to get bedded. Some series allow that. Again, that's so why it's so important to go to a driver's meeting. Sometimes they'll say you're allowed to scrub tires and bed brakes on the out lap and qualifying, but you're not allowed to do it on a practice day or on a practice session. Scrubbing speed. Again, these are terms that you're probably going to hear from us. Scrubbing speed oftentimes refers to when you're early in, you're turning in too early. And so you're essentially pushing the front end out under acceleration, and you're scrubbing speed. The front tires are scrubbing. You're getting some understeer and you're scrubbing some speed, as an example, because you're just grinding those tires trying to turn, and it's understeering out to the exit. Qual 1, Qual 2, that refers to qualifying 1, qualifying 2. Some races, even far races, have 3 qualifiers. A flyer. What is a flyer? Flyer is when you're on a lap that is
Dang good.
dang good. And it's a good one, right? And so you're on a flyer. Offline. So there's the racing line and then there's offline. Offline is just that. It is off the racing line. Slow in, fast out. Always the ideal, especially this weekend, is typically is just a rule of thumb to start. We want to be slow in and fast out. That's the quickest way through a corner. What is a steward? Well, oftentimes in a lot of races, in a lot of series, they have a chief steward, and they have a lot of underling stewards as well with titles that are in. Those are the ones that are essentially in control of certain things throughout a race series. Race control. Race control is that you'll hear is where literally all the cameras, all the TVs are in one spot, and they're able to see the entire track and everything that's going on. Almost every meter, every foot of the track,
Yeah, I've never
they
seen a
have
race
access
control
to
that
it.
doesn't see all the track.
Yeah.
That's where the race director hangs out.
That's right. And that's where he's always, they're reviewing and watching everything, and everything is recorded so that they can play it back and look at it, see what happens and things like that. We talked about splitter, stickers. So lots of people are like, oh, stickers. Well, are stickers
I put stickers on my
decal?
car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not the stickers I'm
Oh,
talking about.
dang it.
You'll hear people, and this is just a fun word that, they say, hey, I got a new set of stickers, right? I'm running stickers. And that just refers to brand new tires that literally still have the stickers on the tires. All right, let me keep moving here. All right, expectations. This is an important thing. I believe it was great for me in a couple of classes. They were very specific on expectations. Be on time, which really means be early to every meeting. Be malleable, listen, be humble, and ask questions. There's never, ever, ever a question that is not a good question, ever. So always ask questions, be humble, do what's asked of you. A lot of the instructors, we're going to do some ride-alongs. We're going to probably do some lead follows. We're going to do some side by side, and you guys are going to be watched the entire time that you're on track. And so try to be focused, do what's asked of you. Obviously no cell phones in the car, preferably have them turned off in the class, and just be prepared and work hard, and you'll have a blast, have fun. So, all right, real quick, seating position in a race car. There's some personal preferences to this, but typically more upright, so that your eyes are high, you can see a lot of the track, your knees are bent, so that you're able to modulate the brake. And you're able to completely modulate the throttle at different levels of the throttle and different levels of the brake. And then obviously clutch close enough for you to be able to manage it. Brees, your race car, the car that you're driving this weekend, this is a good slide. And the reason why this is such a good slide is because there's a few things that you guys always, as a race car driver, and I'm telling you this out of experience because I have not done this and I paid the consequences of it. And that is, your gauges are really, really important. So important. And it will determine the life of the motor of your car and could determine a lot the health of your car. And so what are the big things that you need to focus on? Well, obviously you should know how to use the tack and shift at the appropriate times. But the big ones, the big ones, I'm not really even concerned about lap time and gain loss. We'll get into that later. The big ones are your oil pressure and your water temp. You need to know if your car is getting too hot, and you need to know the range of your oil pressure throughout its when it's under load or when it's not under load. Okay, advanced car control. We're going to get into a lot of this as we over the weekend, but this refers to weight distribution, which is critical. What weight distribution, what these tire patches represent, right, is where the weight of the car is. So if you are under acceleration, where's the weight? It's in the back, right? Because you're pulling, the car's pulling and the weight is back. If you're under deceleration and braking, what happens? The nose pitches down, especially when we do threshold braking. The nose pitches, and so you get much more grip on those front tires, correct? Correct. Good. That was a little redundant.
Nice.
Thanks. Cornering, same thing. Where's the tire pressure going? They're going in this scenario, in a right-hand turn, the pressure is on the left side. And so we're going to talk a lot about load transfer, because a lot of being fast in a race car on track, you're constantly managing the load transfer of the car throughout the lap. That's really gets into critical, some of the most critical things in order to go fast in a race car, period. I'm in. Okay, understeer, oversteer. Knock it out.
So understeer, oversteer, chances are you're going to experience at least one of those at least one time while you're out on track. It just happens. Basically, any of these can happen. If you miss the apex, you over rotate, if you see your tire temperatures going through the worst, chances are you're understeering like crazy. The lap times worsen, spinning ain't winning, skidding ain't winning either. If you see a driver like go way off the racing lines, probably because he's understeering like crazy, just to see. But basically, long story short, understeer means you're turning the wheel, but you continue to go straight. That you've generally carried way too much speed in, your front tires don't have enough grip and you're just, and you continue to go straight. It's not a fun feeling, but neither is oversteer. Understeer is pretty easy. You just reduce the throttle, try to straighten your wheel just a little bit to get those front tires spinning properly again. And how to prevent that next time is just next time, try to come in with a little less speed. Like we'll say, you'll hear us say this 10 times over again. Slow entry, fast exit. That really is mind-bogglingly amazing once you figure out how much better it is.
Yeah.
I drove a Miata at my comp school and I normally drive a Mustang. So I literally lost my mind how much better it was. So oversteer is equally not as fun. It is a little more, well, I don't know. If you can catch it, it's pretty dang fun.
Yeah,
But if you don't catch it, then you're in a spin. So again, you're coming in too fast. Your rear tires now have the least amount of grip and the back end steps out on the car. Chances are you're going to have to make a steering correction to catch the car. So biggest thing with oversteer is you want to look where you want to go. So don't look off to the giant concrete wall right in front of you now, because guess what? That's where you're going to go. You don't want to do that. You want to look out towards the racetrack and correct yourself. So correct, pause, recover, correct yourself, let off the gas a little bit, let that car come back to itself. And then you'll find, oh, wait, now I have grip now. And now we're going the right direction again.
Well,
So,
all right, braking. So a lot, we're going to talk a lot about this too. I'm going to kind of hit some high level stuff because we have a ton just to hit through. And again, I'm high level this. The ideal initial threshold braking is when you go to pedal and you go to pedal deliberately. You don't just slam on the pedal. You go to the pedal deliberately, and then you begin to aggressively press that brake pedal to get to the maximum grip. You're attacking the pedal, the brake pedal, but not necessarily. You're not smacking it. You're getting on it, and then you're aggressively adding pressure. Obviously, too much pressure, too fast results in lockup. And then trail braking, we're going to get into this and probably talk about this in greater detail.
it's an advanced technique.
It's an advanced technique, but it really helps you brake the latest to retain the most grip upon turn in, and then to transfer weight as you're getting off. When you get close to the apex, you're coming off the brake and you're applying throttle, which allows the car to rotate and sit. And that's the fastest way typically through corners, especially in threshold braking corners. We're going to come back. We're going to run through this stuff. Ty, unless you got something specifically you want to talk about in trail braking here that you'd like them to know high level, but you got any thoughts on that you want to add, Todd? Is he muted?
No, he's not.
No. Okay.
Todd.
All right.
Hang on. Are you muted, Todd? I can't.
Yeah, it's showing he's muted, I think.
All right. Well, all right. I've asked you.
All right.
There you go. There he is. Sorry about that, Todd.
It just went away.
No, we can hear you.
I can't see anybody anymore. Hold on.
Oh.
Hi. So
I haven't.
you were talking about trail braking?
Yeah, I mean, anything specific to that if you wanted to add anything for trail braking, and I know it's an advanced technique. We'll certainly talk about it, and threshold braking versus light braking, the difference in corners, stuff like that.
Threshold braking, mostly is done in a straight line. Getting off the brake when the max pressure is on the front tires, you turn it in and slowly get to throttle to engage the limited slip differentials. So you go through the corner, with a balanced car. Threshold or trail braking is usually done with ABS units. A car that has pretty good ABS that can actually adjust each corner's wheel spin and adhesion point to get to the apex of the corner, past the 2 marker on this visual here, to where you're at the apex and you're finally off the brake there. So you start with 2000 psi between the 1 and the 3, and you're off beyond the 2 right at apex and go back to throttle. So just different techniques depending on the car that you have and depending on the car that would do it. So we can talk more about it during class, but that's a quick overview.
Yeah.
Thanks, Todd.
All right, thanks. So again,
That was a good one.
okay, go to the next one. Minimum speed.
Yeah, this is
It's-
important.
It's not about who is the first to throttle. It's about who has the least amount of understeer. Because a lot of time, typically your default is going to be to get to gas, get to the throttle as soon as you can, and that's going to induce a lot of understeer and a lot of scrubbing of speed, especially on the as you exit, even sometimes before you get to the apex. So typically, it's always best to start with a late apex. That's the safest way through the corner, is to begin with a late apex. It's just the safest way through the corner. Okay, so you're hear a lot of this. This is some of the terminology. Turn in. Where do you turn in? Where is the apex on this particular corner? There's different types of corners. We're going to touch on that briefly, and then the track out. Let's see.
Good.
So this talks about some of what we talked about. Turning in too late allows you, where you miss the apex, you're not using the entire track and you're not carrying enough speed or the optimal amount of speed through a corner. Turning in too early, as I said, is you're too fast in, and it results in you being slow out.
That produces oh shit moments.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
not good. That results in four off, and it's just not good. And so let me touch on that real quick. In a scenario when you're on track, think it through. When because it's going to happen. You are early in. You are on the gas too early. You're not going to make the corner. You're trying to, what are you going to do? You get off the gas to try to stave it and stay on track, but you can't. You're off track, and all of a sudden you're in a spin. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, if you got a manual, if you reach a certain, it's called I like to say it is the point of no return, is that critical point where you're like, I have tried everything in my power to try and keep this away from the wall. It's not going to happen. You're going to hit the wall. So biggest thing is clutch in, foot on the brake, and hands off the steering wheel, because a steering wheel can snap your wrists. And once you hit that wall, if you've got them on, so, this helps as well. Todd taught me something that has stuck with me, is, why does the baby and the drunk survive the car crash? Is because they're relaxed. When you hit the wall, you're relaxed. And so you just try to, in the scariest moment of your life, a concrete wall of impending doom is coming right at you. You have to be relaxed. You have to just be limp, a wet noodle in the car, and chances are, you're gonna be okay on the outside. But that's what a clutch in, foot brake, and wait for a safe stop. And then what do you do after you stop?
We'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to that.
You re-enter the track safely.
Yes, if you don't hit the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, you may not hit the wall.
When you've lost control of the car, as a rule of thumb, the saying is 2 feet in, right? And that refers to clutch and brake. Put both feet in and lock the car up to come to a stop, okay? Because nothing good's going to happen out there. It's time to come to a stop. You've made your error. Just get 2 feet in, come to a stop, and then re-enter the track safely. And we'll get to some of that in a little bit too. So getting back to the racing line, typically there's 3 types of corners. There's an increasing radius, there's a decreasing radius, and then there's a corner type that's a compromise corner, where you're essentially throwing away. You're not throwing away, but you have to go throw away or discount one corner to get the next corner or the next 2 corners really fast. And that is the fastest way through a turn complex.
Like S's or a chicane.
A chicane or S's or
Double apex.
Yeah.
I mean, whole bunch.
Okay. We'll get into this too. This is higher level stuff that we're going to talk about a lot on Saturday: increasing radius, decreasing radius, and compromising corners. The there's a lot of things to consider on racing line, obviously elevation, camber, pavement, the temperature, wind, rain, etc. We'll come back to that. All right, flags. This is huge, you guys. You guys are going to be tested on flags throughout the weekend. You're going to be tested on it predominantly all in practice. And when I say surprises, you may be on track and you're going to see something. There's a method to the madness, guys, because you never know. You got to train yourself to always be knowing where the corner workers are. And when you come to a section of track where there's a corner worker, that your eyes always at least are scanning that area so that you're looking for flags, right? And so it's one of the big things that we're going to test on is to help train you guys to always be looking and eyes up. And so we're going to run through these flags briefly. There's information flags and then there's command flags. Information being, hey, we're trying to tell you what's going on in track. The corner worker's trying to tell you what's going on in track. And then command flags that are specifically telling you, the driver, Jack Hobbs, you did this. Or whoever, Todd Burris.
You mean
did this.
when I get blue flag because there's a Miata behind me?
Right. So so you guys know, if you don't have Flagtronics in your car, or the series does not run Flagtronics, which a lot of series don't run it, your only source of communication from the outside world and the race officials are those flag stations. So it's absolutely critical that first of all, you know where they're at, and that your eyes are up and you're scanning them every time you come around that racetrack and you go to that corner.
Yeah, and flags should be something that if you don't know them by heart, study them before you get to comp school. It is really, really imperative that you know these like that. And very important thing is in this series that do have Flagtronics and flags, physical flags with corner workers trumps the Flagtronics. So if there's ever a point where they differ, follow the real life flag.
Say that again.
So in a series where there are Flagtronics, which are the electronically actuated flag system in your car, which blinks a different color, or a real flag, and the series that run both, real flags and corner workers trump the decision of the Flagtronics system, meaning that the corner workers, if you see a corner worker throwing a yellow, but your Flagtronic says green, follow the yellow flag being waved right in front of you, not the system in your car.
Thank you. That is very important. So information flags, green flag, what does it mean? Go, go, go. The track is hot. It's typically overtaking is loud. The session has started. The race has started. And oftentimes when you start a session, it will be under yellow. And so it'll go green. The flagger at start finish typically will be running the green flag at start finish.
Yeah, no, sorry, I just saw your Flagtronics. In case you don't know, you can Google it. It's a little box about this big in your car that's just a whole bunch of different colored LEDs that blink in the color of the flag. It's supposed to aid the driver in understanding things quicker while on track. But as it's being controlled by humans, inherently people make mistakes, and so that's why flags trump Flagtronics.
Yeah.
One thing that Center said, get used to your eyes up, start practicing that. Eyes up is the most important thing when you go racing. When you go racing and you're 15 minutes into a session, first time you've been on track, your eyes have a tendency to go down to the hood. Just start practicing keeping your eyes up, and hearing it a lot this weekend. Keep your eyes up. Keep your eyes up.
Yep.
Don't subconsciously, they just start falling when you get tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you will get tired.
Yes. Oh,
And Sunday, yeah.
Yeah. So let me run through these flags. Blue flag is typically a passing flag. You're being lapped, or there's a faster car behind you. They'll be waving at you to basically stay on line and allow the car that's coming to pass you offline. So you stay on the racing line. Use point by. We'll be doing a little bit of point by early on, and then we'll get to side by side open passing and a bunch of drills. But typically, it just gives the passing car assurance when you're pointing by offline and you stay online. Typically, you always want to stay on the racing line.
Yeah, that's general rule of thumb is the passing vehicle has to go off the racing line to make the pass. And sometimes that blue flag will have a yellow stripe down the middle of it. So just be
Yeah,
aware.
that's a good point. All right, debris flag, and that flag is red and yellow with a stripe. I've seen them with one stripe, I've seen them with two stripes, but it's a
Combination of red.
combination of red and yellow. And that means that something up ahead is the track surface has changed. It could be rain is an interesting one because I was like, rain? I don't know if I've ever seen it rain. And I was talking it through with Jack earlier. And in fact, there was a couple times when I was at Road America and this torrential downpour came through and it created this massive, massive puddle that they were throwing this flag for. But typically you see it for oil or coolant or fluid on the track or dirt, possibly car parts, even animals. I've seen a big old dead groundhog.
Yeah,
in the
AMP
track.
is known. AMP is unfortunately known for turtles wandering out of the woods onto the carousel. I've seen it. Just don't hit a turtle. The turtle is tougher than your car. Trust me.
Yeah. White flag, stationary white flag typically indicates a safety vehicle or slow moving cars on track. That could be a tow vehicle, a tow truck, a flatbed, could be an ambulance even, or a fire truck. Typically when the white flag is waved at the start finish line, it indicates it's the last lap, one lap to go. SCCA did not run a white flag as an example for many years. And then they made the decision to start running the white flag on the last lap. Yellow flag, standing yellow flag, and standing means it's being held stationary out. That means no overtaking, slow down, cut your speed. If you're running 8/10, slow it down to 5/10. It's not as a severe or distant or it's offline. Usually the car is off course. A yellow flag that is waving is more severe. Slow down, there's no overtaking, and the incident or the car or whatever it is, because you don't know what it is near or likely on the racing line. And be ready to slow down significantly. In fact, this is one I would say you see a waving yellow flag, you better hoe it down to
310.
3 or 4 tenths.
You need to get to a speed where you could do anything you need to do to car. If that means come to, a complete right-hand turn in the middle of the racetrack, you need to be able to do that controlled.
Right. Double yellow flag. This is a full course caution, or a full course yellow. This is basically everybody slows down to pace car speed. A pace car is typically or often deployed to pace the field. There's no overtaking. So you slow way down. You're going to maintain pace car speed. And if you're far back in the pack, and this is, it's your job if you're, in 20th place or 15th or whatever, even if there's a gap from you to the cars in front, it's your job to catch the pack in front. They have slowed down. Now that doesn't mean you're going to be running, 9, 10 tenths or 8 tenths, but drive quickly and efficiently and safely and catch the pack. That's really
If
important.
you don't catch the pack, that's bad.
Yes. All right, command flags. Black stick, furled black flag, black and white. And so typically black flags are issued when there needs to be a change in behavior immediately.
I think we've all gotten these. Yeah.
I've never gotten one.
Oh, yes. Nuh-uh.
I'm kidding. Okay, so a black flag, if you see a black flag, there are black flag all, and then there's black flags that specifically refer to you. And this picture is pretty good because they have a black flag out and they have a number. And so if there's a black flag in your number of your car, that means that you specifically have got to get into the pits and meet with somebody and get corrected and scolded. You did something. And there's times when you might not know what it is. Quite frankly, there's times when they might be wrong. But let me tell you something. When you come in on a black flag and you've been black flagged, I can't state this enough. You need to be humble and listen and yes, sir,
Smile on your face.
and apologetic. Otherwise, they can just sit there. If you want to argue with them, they can sit there and hold you as long as they want. So keep that in mind. Black flag all stations. This is when you see a black flag all, That refers to the entire track has been black flagged, and that is everyone's going into the pits immediately. At the first time you get to the pit end, you're going into the pit. Keep up the pace, except obviously at some incident area, the session's going to be stopped and it likely to be restarted. Oftentimes you'll sit on pit lane until they get it fixed or they clean it up, and then they'll release you under yellow and restart you under green.
Oh, wait. The pointed black flag.
Well,
Yeah, if it's pointed at you, it means that they know you did something wrong, you know you did something wrong, and as long as you fix it, no one's gonna have any other issues with you. So that's basically a slap on the wrist to not do that again, whatever it is. So you don't have to come in if it's furled up and pointed at you. That's just a nice little slap on the wrist.
the meatball flag.
No one wants to see this.
The meatball flag. This is when they call it black flag, and it's got an orange circle in it. It's referred to as the meatball flag. This means that you got to get into the pits immediately. There's something going on with your mechanical, something's hanging off your vehicle. There could be smoke, you could be dropping fluid, but you got to get off track, or you've got to get to the pits. They're calling you into the pit to fix whatever it is. I actually got meatballed at Sebring last time we were at Sebring twice because my hood kept popping up, and they kept meatballing me because I couldn't get my hood fixed.
I think this is a good time to also reiterate, if you guys see a meatball flag out on track this weekend, we're trying to save your car. And this is a good time to talk about, if you get halfway through day one and your car decides to blow up, you're SOL. I mean, we can't help you. If you don't have a car to be on track, we can't give you a racing license.
Yeah, let's talk through that. I'm glad I meant to have that early on, and I didn't go through it. I'm glad you brought that up. Guys, the cars that you're bringing need to be worthy to be on track for a day. They need to be, and that is, some brief things. They need to have new fluids in them. You need to have decent brake pads. You need to make sure you have coolant in the radiator. And it needs to be a car that's able to be on track. Now, granted, you're not going to be murdering the car and tearing it up and sliding it and stuff like that. But at the same time, you are going to be driving it, and you are going to be driving at higher limits than you ever would on the street, right?
Yeah. It just, treat it well. If you get to a point where your car is making some strange noise that you've never heard before, well, that's not just because it decided to make that noise that morning. It means something has happened, and you better do the correct thing and pull off. You guys can always on any point at this weekend on track, always you can come into the pits for any reason that you deem necessary.
Absolutely.
That is not a problem.
Yeah.
Come into the pits. We would much rather appreciate you coming to the pits than spilling oil all over the track and ruining the entire session for everybody.
And also, if you work on your car or know anything basic about your car, it's great to have spares and tools, some spare brake pads, some spare brake fluid, coolant.
I always bring duct tape, zip ties, coolant, oil, set of wrenches, set of screwdrivers, set of pliers. And then, always bring a jack and jack stands, no matter what. Chances are someone at the track is going to have a jack and jack stands, but you never want to be the type of person who says, "Oh, can I borrow it?" Or, "Oh, nope, it's in use,"
So just come prepared, right? Think through stuff and come as prepared as possible to the track.
Yeah. We're not going to ask you to do anything with your car that's going to purposely try to damage it.
No,
I mean, no. So.
Red flag, the session stop, you need to reduce your speed, and return to pits at safety car speed. That is specific to FIA. And so, if the rules stipulate SCCA flags specifically, it's going to lay your mind that. SCCA is you actually come to a stop immediately, as safely as possible, as soon as safely possible, on the track, offline, right? Off the side of the track.
In view of a station worker.
Yeah, that's the ideal. And so, Todd, are we still running FIA?
No.
No.
Right. Okay, I didn't think so. So, but there is a difference, which is another thing so that you go to the driver's meeting, because You might go to the driver's meeting and they're saying, we're experimenting and might be doing a deal and we're running FIA for some reason flags. And FIA flags are different. This is a good example. The red flag, essentially like a black flag on SCCA, whereas a red flag in SCCA is you come to a complete stop immediately because something really bad has happened and they need everybody to stop off track so that they can get to it. Go to the driver's meeting. Checker flag. Woohoo. End of the race. Good time. End of this qualifying session. End of the practice session. Reduce the speed and you're going to enter into the pits wherever they tell you to, and you're not going to know what it is. This weekend, I was at the June Sprints and they had us pit in actually right after, sometimes they have us pit in at turn 5. Sometimes they'll have us go all the way around one whole lap. And sometimes they'll throw the checkered at turn 13, right before the last turn, so that you pull in. So just keep it in mind. That's why you go to the driver's meeting. You hear all this stuff. It's really important. It's really important that you pay attention. All right, rain driving.
Yeah, it's pretty, and we might experience some rain driving this weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which is, I can't explain to you guys how an amazing opportunity that is to get some practice in the rain. No one ever gets enough practice in the rain. So it's the same as the dry, just a little bit slower. There are different lines between the wet racing line and the dry racing line. We'll go over that. Is that the next slide, I think?
It is, but this is the most important thing I would say, period, I'm in about racing in the rain is the mentality. You've got to have the mentality that this is going to be a blast. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, it's going to be challenging, but you're going to learn something. Every time you go on track, you want to learn something, and it's going to be great. And a lot of guys that Todd and I race with, they hate rain. I've got one teammate that refuses to go out in the rain. He doesn't like it. There's nothing he likes about it. And you're not going to get good at anything unless you go do it. Right. So, mentality is a big one.
Smooth inputs, smooth outputs.
Yeah. And so typically the rain line is typically in a corner is the outside line. And it's at least a minimum of 1 full car length off of the dry line at a minimum. That's where the grip is. And on a drying track, what do you want to do? Because your tires are getting burned up on a drying track. You want to keep those tires cool and wet. So a lot of times you'll see in races, if you watch races, you'll see guys that are on rain tires during a drying track, they're hunting water for those things to keep them cooled off.
Yeah, and an easy way to determine what's the dry line and what's the wet line. Dry line on some tracks is where most of the rubber has accumulated on the track. So the track looks a little darker than the rest. And that is because of the rubber deposits on the racetrack. In a dry track, when it's hot outside, that rubber on the racetrack, it forms this adhesive chemical grip that makes that line significantly faster than others. In the rain, it's the opposite. You don't want that because that's a very smooth, almost polished surface. That you're going to slide off. So that's why you go on the outside off of the racing line to get more of that grippy, rough contact patch onto your tire.
What about the paint? That's a good
point. Paint is your worst enemy in the rain. It's your worst. You don't touch it. Don't even go near it. Don't even look at it.
I really like this slide right here because I think it represents a lot of when you're going through corners. The dotted line represents the dry line, and the blue represents the wet line. And that is that you're breaking offline of the dry line because that's where most of the grip is wet. And then you're crossing the dry line and you're creating essentially a later apex out where you have the most amount of grip, and then you accelerate and you're crossing back over the dry line. I think that's a good slide. I like that. I think generally speaking, that's a good thing to kind of stick in your brain. Let's see here. It's good. Just be prepared, right? Do your windshield wipers work? Do they suck? Do you have Rain-X? What kind of lens do you have on your helmet? Things like that. Can I soften the car up? There's some setup things that Todd will talk about when we get into some of the details. All right. All right. All right, I want to touch on this very briefly. Video and data. We're not going to go deep into video and data, except to say that video, but even more so than video is a great place to start. And if you have a GoPro or anything, it could be a SmartyCam, any kind of system that can record what it is you're doing in car, it will help because you can go back and review it. You can have other people look at it. That's a great first step to start debriefing your session and figuring out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, where you're too slow, where you're too fast, things like that. Data is the end all be all. It is absolutely critical when you get to the point to get to the next level. It quantifies almost everything. And I think Todd would say everything. Todd is excellent. One of the best in data that I know. Kalen, who's going to be there, is also excellent in data. And so
We got some questions.
okay, and we'll get to it. If we get to data, if you have data in your car, then we can go through that individually. But generally speaking, data is a great next step to really learn what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. But it's a learning curve to learn, to know and how to read it.
Yeah, Franchot, you had a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I know you read on like one of the first slides, you said no cell phones, but like we usually run like our cell phones with the Dragy. Is that
Yeah.
okay? Like,
Yeah, that's great. That's basically just if you have a cell phone in the car that's running data, it's got to be hard mounted to the car. It's the same as JZilla, any track day you go to. We just don't want to see you taking a selfie while you're
okay.
Yeah.
And then at AMP this weekend, I know they're pretty stringent about that. They don't like anything stuck on it. Are they gonna let us do that, or are we just?
The helmet is you can't have a camera stuck to the helmet at AMP. If it's to the windshield or the car, that's fine.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
Hey, Senator and Jack, one thing I would touch on real quick, you kind of jumped through one of the slides, but for me, when I went through the school a month ago, I was a little bit overwhelmed. And that slide that I just saw that we clicked through, trust the process is really, really important. And I can't overemphasize the level of expertise that FARA brings to the event and the way that they, you bring your questions, you bring your concerns, all the stuff, then you get out on the track and it all starts to come together. Just trusting the process and that we're looking out for everybody and everybody's going to have a good time and going to get through this successfully. I mean, that's everybody's goal. Just trust the process.
Yeah, and trust each other. It's why day one is really important. Get to know each other. Get to the point where you trust each other on track. As a driver, don't be erratically moving across the track. You want to be predictable so that people say, okay, I know what this guy's going to do.
Yeah. And you guys are going to be put in that situation where you're side by side, you're going through corners. You may be outbraking somebody. You're going to be put in those situations, right? And so it's important to know each other, and it's important safety. We're going to get into passing. We'll get into that. We're going to talk a lot about passing. Plan ahead. That's one of the biggest things is if Todd's behind me and he can see that we're similar speeds and he's looking to make a pass, he's thinking not just to the next corner, he's thinking at the next lap. He's thinking about what he has to do to set me up in order to get past me. So plan ahead, and also changing track conditions. Wind is a big one, especially in momentum-based cars, and be patient. Some common mistakes when you start talking about passing, the last second decisions, that's a no-go. That's the big one is, there's room there. I still have enough speed. I think I can stick it in. You make a decision to do it. A deliberate pass is always better than a last second decision. Last second decisions, I mean, 9 out of 10 times when it comes to passing, it usually ends in contact, which is horrible. Obviously, dive bomb pass attempts.
That's a great way to piss people off.
Yeah, that's just a big no-no. FARA and SCCA, especially FARA. The race director, Geraldo, he is basically judge, jury, and executioner. And I love that about FARA. You get an answer on a racing incident immediately. He's got so much track experience. It has been awesome instead of it going to a counselor or stuff like that. So, blocking briefly, blocking is when you've made two moves, to put it very briefly. You're allowed one move, but when you make a second move, that's blocking. And so you're allowed one move and that's it.
Yeah, and just you know, another expectation here for this weekend. No one is out racing. There is no giant trophy at the end of this. There is no points for highest speed achieved on the racetrack. There's a goal for most passes made. That being said, keep in mind a lot of us are in our daily drivers
Yeah.
or daily drivers plus. None of us are in real race cars. Well, some of us might be, but the point is, don't put yourself in a car or others into a situation that might end in contact. Contact is a great way to not earn your racing license.
That's right. That's right.
And I guess that was my next question to y'all. I'm driving just a personal 911. I've done some track day stuff, but it wasn't in my personal car. So I'm looking just to learn from this. So that was, I guess, kind of one of my questions is, you know, about, you know, or you know, or a lot of y'all in race cars, or, you know, is this just kind of a daily, or this just a
a
sports
lot of
car,
them,
you know?
a lot of the registrants are going to be in daily driver or HPDE cars. So you're
Yeah.
gonna, I actually don't think only one car is a prepped race car, but it's a Miata. So you should be fairly
Yeah,
far.
I mean, I would rather, you know, buy a cheaper race car than bend my car up, honestly. So
Yeah, no, I know your car. You're well set up.
yeah, new tires, fully prepped. I'm good to go.
You're
So,
good. You're good.
Yeah.
How do you get the booping?
Oh, no.
All right.
You like the boop?
You know, just when it comes to passing, be mindful that the guy in front of you may not even see you coming. There's a lot of times when, in this case too, we're going to have some cars that are faster than other cars. You're going to have a Miata and you might have a Corvette out there. And so if you're in the Corvette,
You will.
be mindful. Or if you're in the Miata, if you're in a slower car, be mindful that somebody, you know, it's important to be in a great habit of checking your mirrors, knowing your surroundings, keeping a head on a swivel, right?
Comp school is not about speed. It's about awareness on the track.
yeah.
We'll get some more into this.
Lick the stamp and send it. Don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Tuati,
what? That's
David
Twatty. I don't think he's going to be. He's got another event. David Twatty is one of the owners of FARA, along with Jose and Todd. And David is not going to be there, but man, is he a joy to be around, and his just hilarious, a wealth of knowledge. Well, I like that. He got in my front corner. That was probably put in there by Todd. All right, we're going to go through a flag review.
Yeah.
Be the fifth.
We're gonna go through and talk through race starts. We're gonna talk about grid, formation laps, what happens in a formation lap, how to stay in columns. We're gonna talk about bedding brakes and scrubbing tires, and is it allowed? Is it not allowed? Is there a start zone? Oftentimes they don't have a start zone. This is why you go to the driver's meeting. Oftentimes they will have different classification and even different rules for starts based upon different classes. As crazy as that sounds, it's actually true. What is a wave off? We'll get into talking about that. Again, driver's meeting. And so race starts and racecraft will touch on some of this. You know, be in position, be in the correct gear. This is going into the start of a race. Look at the row in front of you. Try to be clued in and listening to his motor, noticing his acceleration, eyes up, looking for the green flag. And if you got a radio and your headset and your helmet, that helps too, because somebody's calling green, right? And we're not going to have that this weekend, but it's still very relevant to race starts. It's good to have a plan. It's good to have some thoughts. If you have teammates, talking through that, keeping an open mind, and reacting to what you see, right? Eyes up. It's great, especially in really tight formation racing like Spec Miata, to keep your eyes up, and you can get tunnel vision on the car in front because you're button drafting and you're touching a lot. In this picture, I believe, no, that's not Todd, but
Frankie.
In this picture, you see cars, four spec Miatas in their nose to tail on a start. That's how starts are done in this particular class. And so it's easy to get focused on just what's in front of you, which is that rear bumper, as opposed to looking through the next car's windshield and up in front. So eyes up. You're going to hear that so much, and it's really critical. Enjoy it, right? I mean, go in with excitement and, a big fat smile on your face, because racing is a lot of it is an adrenaline dump, and embrace it. It's a blast. Typically, it's great to always leave space on race starts, and stay as close to the racing line as possible. Just some things to think about typically in race management. We'll get into a lot of that when we get in on Saturday. Talking about tactics and playing games and making for mistakes. Taking care of the tires, that's a big deal. Todd's really good at that. And then, risk management, which is really important for this weekend, is always be thinking, leave enough space, always have an escape route, right? And so, especially this weekend, as John mentioned, and all you guys, 99% of you guys are going to be in personal cars, and they're well prepped cars, right? And so, but they're your personal cars. We're not racing this weekend, guys. We're doing mock race starts. We're going to do some mock racing, but we are not full on racing. You're earning your racing license. The goal of this school is for you to come away with a FARA provisional racing license. Okay. That is the goal. And that is what I like to see every single 13. Are we at 13?
Yeah.
So I think we got 13. So I want to see every one of you successfully receive this. So let's keep it on track. Don't be driving at 9 and 10 tenths. Okay.
You don't need to be.
You don't need
There's zero reason. There's zero credible reason to be driving like that.
That's right. That's right. And manage your car. Listen, we need your car to last, so manage it well. Don't be, don't be getting where you're locking up tires and jamming
Don't glaze the brakes.
That's right.
Don't do that.
Blowing a transmission, stuff like that's going to end your weekend.
It's smooth. Smooth is fast.
That's right.
It's easy. Calm, cool, and relaxed, baby.
That's right. That's right. And briefly, like I said, if you go off track, then go ahead and get 2 feet in, or 1 foot in, if if you're driving an automatic, and re-enter the track safely and look for oncoming traffic, right? So this is honestly, at least this is one of my favorite times when I've had a good race. When I've had a crappy race, this is one of my least favorite times. I just came away, not that this is any important, but I just left the June Sprints, which is the largest amateur racing event of the year, every year. It's at Road America. I drove really well. I qualified 5th. I had a chance to put it on pole. On my team, I was the fastest qualifier. I felt like I was driving as good as anybody out there. I had high hopes and had a decent race the first half, and I pitched it off and hit a wall. And man, let me tell you something. It was very hard to soak in any joy at the end of that race. I was ready to get out of there, and I stewed on that for a few days, and had to talk it through with some friends. But just enjoy the day. Enjoy when you come in. We'll do a lot of debriefing after sessions. Danny will tell you, and the other guys tell you, you'll get a lot out of the debrief sessions, especially the sessions where you might be in a car with us, or we might be in a car with you. What's the whole point of this, right? You got to be able to laugh at yourself, right? Laugh out loud. Know that every time you get out on track, you're going to learn something new every single time. And you're doing stuff with amazing people. Everybody that's in this class is like-minded. CRS students, you guys have came on board. A lot of these guys are CTR students, members, and you guys are part of building something that is going to be historic. And we fully believe that 5 years down the road, that you're going to look back and you'll be able to be like, you know what, I was a part of that. I was one of the founding members. I was one of the ones that started that and was a part of it. And again, hats off to FARA, because these guys have partnered with us and have allowed us to really give us the ability to execute. It's something that has never happened. 4 different racing schools all over this country in the last 20, 30 years of my life. And let me tell you something that FARA has enabled. They have enabled this process to happen. Nowhere in the country can you go and do what you're doing for this price. And if any of you have any concept, look around, go to Skip Barber or Lucas Oil or
Bondurant.
even SCCA or a lot of other places. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to get a racing license. And FARA has really bent over backwards to make this happen. And they put together a phenomenal program for us. You guys are going to have a blast. I can't wait. So the final sessions, we'll get into doing some simulated race starts, double file starts, single file starts. We'll even do some pit stops. Typically, as you get into lapping sessions, we're going to review all this again. So don't panic. In the beginning, we want you to really focus on passing only in the straights. Again, if you spin both feet in, if you go 4 off and you really screwed it up, come into the pits, give us a talk, allow us to talk to it, think it through, and then we'll get you back on track. Pit lane is your friend.
Some of us did get 4 off.
Yeah, there were the last school we had, we did. I mean, it's going to happen, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not.
Yeah, this isn't barber. We don't charge per blade of grass. I mean, it's, try to avoid it, but it's just grass. Just don't hit the wall.
Right. So, hey, can you minimize that and pull up the thing so I can read the thing good? So I'm going to high level. We're almost done. I'm going to high level about 25, 30 things that.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
They're still there.
That I'm gonna just high level talk about. It's really just a review, but it's kind of important stuff, especially for all the CRS guys. As you get this quiz that's going to be coming to you that you need to go through.
Yeah, this is a great. Every single one of you will be receiving a Google Form quiz right after this meeting ends. You have to achieve a 90% or above in order for you to go to comp school. You can take it as many times as you need, so don't feel like you have to pass on the first time. It is super, super easy, but just keep in mind, please pass that. Otherwise,
it's a real, and it'll go and be recorded on Garage ID. It's just an important step. It's part of the curriculum of what we provide, and I think you'll find it beneficial. It is relatively easy, and it hits high level stuff. A lot of the stuff that we talked about in the last hour, and then I'm going to run through a few more things that you might see later. Again, when you're on track and they are using Flagtronics system, remember that the station workers, the corner workers take precedent over the Flagtronics. Just a review of the flags, remembering what flags mean what, when there's liquid or there's something on the track, what flag is that? It's
it's red and yellow.
That's right, the red and yellow flag. Let's see. If you spin on track, I think we hit that, pretty decisively. What do you need to do? Both feet in. When you catch, what's why do you trail brake as an example, right? What is the reason for the trail brake?
Well, you want to maximize grip by balancing that load through the line.
That's right.
So it's just all about balance and maximizing grip.
That's right. It's
a really good overview right before we go to the track. You guys did a great job with the overview. Everything will be recovered every time we go out on track. Everything will be gone through, walked through, and then on Sunday it gets pretty fast and furious. But this was a great overview, kind of give you an idea of what to look forward to and what you're going to see.
Yeah, and I know that there's a couple people on here that are joining because they were unsure if they were prepared for comp school. If you came tonight and you knew exactly what we were talking about, you didn't feel like you were out of the water here, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and let me also add that even if you get the quiz and you go through it and you're confused, listen, reach out to us. You guys, you can reach out to us on Discord. You can reach out to us directly via email. I think everybody here has all of our phone numbers and our emails. So call us, text us, email us. And if you got a question for something, then just call us, okay? And we'll talk you through it. I'm pretty confident. I know most of the people, or I have looked into most of the people that have registered. I am very confident in this group. And so, Theo, yeah,
Yeah, so Nathan, yes, you can wear shorts to this event. So
yep. Mandatory really is a helmet. You've got to have a helmet.
Yeah.
And
and if you don't have one,
let us,
some of us have spares,
That's-
and Discovery Parts is the best freaking store in the world. It's on site at A&P and they rent helmets for $50.
it's a really, really nice store. I mean, they've got
Everything.
everything there. It's really, I'm glad you said that. I'll probably might need to get some stuff. So, again, reach out to us if you got any questions, if you got any concerns. Feel free to call me directly, text me, same with Jack, Danny, any of us. We're at your disposal. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, fire
Fire.
bad.
Fire's bad. Your car's on fire. What do you do?
Well, so if you're driving, you notice all of a sudden your car's on fire. The goal is to obviously get out of the car as quickly as possible, but you need to do that in the correct way. Otherwise, you're going to make it significantly worse. So the goal is to pull off the racing line, come to a stop as quickly as you can, leave the car in gear if it's a manual. Because if you leave the car in neutral and the car starts rolling away, now you have a moving fire, and that's so much worse. The goal is once you get it stopped, you put it in gear, car off, get out of the vehicle. If you have a fire suppression tab, pull that thing the moment you think you have fire in the car. Chances are the fire suppression it can save your life. 2, it can save your car. 3, it can make the track marshals and the safety people have a lot easier job that day. No one wants to pull out a charcoal person. So make sure you get out of the car, and yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, and also in the
Yep.
event, in the hypothetical event that you're on track and we're in a session and your car just
Stops working.
stops working, it just cuts out, it won't turn on, and you're just coasting along. What do you do? Do you just, what do you do with that?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Hunter. It's happened. It's happened to me. When your car quits out, you're going to want to pull off of the track. If you can coast to a track exit, that is phenomenal because it means, especially during a race, it means they don't have to stop the race to come get you. Something happens and you really can't get anywhere, pull as far away from the racing line as you can. Stay in the vehicle. Unless you are on fire, do not exit the vehicle. A truck will come get you.
Stay belted in.
Stay belted, because if a car is not paying attention to the racetrack and paying attention to you going off the racetrack and they steer into you, well, guess what? And you're not belted, that's going to hurt really, 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 really badly.
Yeah.
Stay
and,
belted.
Also, just to repeat, when Jack, during the comp school, I've been talking about bump drafting and touching and stuff. When do we do that in comp school?
Never, ever,
Never.
ever.
No contact.
Yeah,
no
this is your first and only warning. We'll tell you 10,000 times again. If we see it on track, you will not pass comp school. That you do not need to be touching anyone. So do what is necessary to avoid hitting people. All you need to know. It's not hard. Just don't hit one.
Yeah, and I want to touch on also when we were talking about the flags, if in a corner, because you guys are going to see this, you're going to be, when you're on track, this is kind of stuff's going to happen. If I'm approaching a corner and I'm very close. I've set up Jack. I've set him up the whole lap, and I know this is the place where I'm going to pass him. I've got a good run on him, and I'm coming in, and there's a yellow flag in that corner. When can I execute that pass? Can I go ahead and execute the pass and pass him and then get through the corner? Or do I need to back out of that corner?
No, you can execute the pass before the yellow flag.
That's
so
right.
The yellow flag takes precedence, and if you drew a parallel straight line from the flag across the racetrack, that is when the yellow section starts. You can execute. It's real racing until that parallel line.
Yep.
So you can absolutely execute that pass before the yellow flag.
Yep.
Good
Is
stuff.
there a decibel limit to stay under, Max? AMP is 98 decibels. But I'll tell you a secret. The decibel meter limit reader is right above the overhead thing where race start is. So just let off a little bit as you come through that and you won't have any problems.
All right, um, we talked about your car. It needs, if it breaks or if you crash, are you guys getting a refund? That's not a question you should ask or approach us with, because the answer is no. You're not,
Can't get a comp license without a car.
right. When specifically do you do single file only race starts? As an example, would you do them only whenever you feel like it? Would you do it after a black flag? Would you do it? The answer is you have single file race starts typically after double yellows. Double yellows, everybody, and we're going to practice this. You'll catch a double yellow as an example during a mock race, and you'll have to single file form up, catch up to the group in front, and you will start in single file.
Yeah. Oh, this is important. Yeah, we touched upon it, but character traits that we want to be looking for, because it's not just about car ability, it's also about your mental attitude coming into this race weekend and all future race weekends. Leave ego at the door. Come in very humble, open-minded, calm, cool, and collective. Patience is probably the largest virtue in racing. It's not about who wins it at the beginning. It's about who's there at the end of the race. So just, be aware.
No need to be overly aggressive, or overly competitive this weekend. This is about learning and getting your license, so that you can get on track and really officially race with FARA.
Yeah. So
That kind of wraps us up, guys. Again, Jack's going to be sending out the quiz, and you guys can run through it. If you got any questions, hit Danny, hit me, hit Jack, hit any of us, and we will help you guys out. It's very basic. It's very straightforward. You're not going to have any problems with it. I'm 100% confident that all you guys will pass this 20 question, 25 question quiz. It's very simple, and it'll help you. It helps you process things and think through some of the stuff that we've been talking about. So, let's hit real quick. If you've got, can we unmic
I'm just gonna unmic everybody. Everybody, please unmute themselves.
if you got a question, fire it off, and we'll answer some questions if you guys have any questions, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. So if anyone's got any questions now or forever hold your peace.
What about any kind of in-car comms for you guys?
We
If we need them, we'll have them.
I have some, like if I'm riding with you, I have some comms that are like person to person. Like if I'm sitting in the right seat, or if I'm driving, we can be on comms so that we can talk. Other than that, when you're on track in this weekend, generally, we're not going to be running, radio to you. We don't have any of that set up. When we're doing side by side or ride alongs, we'll have some comms that can be used. So that's pretty well taken care of. And then quite frankly, a lot of it, even if we don't have comms, we can talk through some stuff.
And then, like I said, for just our group this weekend, right?
Yep.
We're out there on the track.
Yep.
So there'll be 13 people out on track, maybe 16 with us out on with you. We may make an appearance on track just to have some fun with you guys.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys are going to have a blast.
Yeah. I've done some driving experience stuff, and there's some people that just shouldn't be out there. And it's just been, so.
Everyone here is properly qualified to be here.
Yeah.
If for God forbid they're not, quick action will be taken.
Yeah.
Believe us.
All right.
Anybody else got any questions?
Great job.
All right. Listen, we're going to wrap it up. Check your email. We'll shoot you over this quiz. And again,
schedule will be posted to you as soon as we have it. We'll send it as soon as we can. What's up, Parker? Hey, be there at the track, no later than 7:30.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
put my number in the chat in case anybody has any questions.
All right. Right on. Good. Thank you,
So-
Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
All right,
Yep.
guys. Hey, I appreciate your time. Super pumped. This is going to be so much fun this weekend. Thanks for signing up, and we'll see you guys Saturday morning. If you need anything, reach out.
All right, guys. Take care.
Nice.
Thank you.